one. Ivan Martinez, welcome to the Data Strategy Show. 66 questions. Ivan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. And I'm very excited to be here, Samir.
Likewise. Listen, Ivan, we know the drill, right? 66 questions, rapid fire, and we're just going to get going.
Hit me.
Let's do it. Okay, Ivan, what's your wake-up ritual?
My wake-up ritual, definitely go for coffee. And then I have a small mini gym built on top of my garage.
Oh,
in
nice.
That order. Boom, boom. I travel a lot, but the routine is the same. In a hotel, I'll brew coffee, go to the gym.
Well, I think it's good to stick to a habit, isn't it?
Yes.
What would you say is your biggest strength?
Communications. I'm really good at communicating what needs to be done, down to the T. And then I tend to over communicate, which I found it very useful throughout my career, because sometimes people may not get it on the first pass,
Right.
or
Yes.
presentation, but I'm known for delivering presentations as well as conducting myself in a way that, I'm good at communication.
Yeah, and you never want to leave a room with someone having a different idea of what you were speaking about, right? So
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. What's the biggest learning experience you've ever had?
That's a good one. I have plenty on the good and the bad side. On the good side, I've been very lucky to be around a lot of military people.
Okay.
And specifically West Point. Then on the intellectual side, with a lot of folks from Southeast Asia, specifically India, have influenced my career tremendously in the past 25 years. So learning from them and being adopted by these two very different groups,
Very different cultures, yeah.
At a professional level has helped me a lot to succeed in my career.
And what was the military side? What did that give you?
Yeah, it's typically West Point graduates that then they spend 5 to 10 years, and then they go and work for large companies, which I had, like the Nokia's and the Johnson and Johnsons of the world. But a lot of the things that I have to say, culturally, as a Hispanic, and I was born in the United States, I grew up in Mexico.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that coming in from Mexico, you tend to be more shy and not as I wouldn't say aggressive, but assertive.
Okay.
That by training all these folks, all these chaps in the military, especially at West Point, but even on the lower ranks, they devote a lot of time on leadership, the ability to direct people.
Of course.
It's kind of important if you're gonna invade somewhere, right? You want everyone to have clear what they need to do. So when you bring those skills into the civilian world, it helps a lot. As long as you lower down the intensity, right?
Well, I think you have to.
As long as you lower down the intensity, I think that the direction is the correct one in order to motivate a team to go and climb that mountain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Are there any hobbies you will never give up?
Yes, I don't like it, but it's good for me precisely to get into the gym. I love doing triathlons.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I love triathlons. I have
when was the last one you did?
Like a month ago, and I have another one in a upcoming month. They're short sprints.
Okay.
Yeah, the big project I'm working on is an Ironman that I've postponed already twice.
Okay.
But that will require a commitment of 2 to 3 hours training every day.
Yeah.
The weekdays, and then on the weekends you're looking at good 5 to 6 hours.
Wow. Because what does that cover? Running, swimming, cycling?
You start swimming, then jump in the bicycle, and then run.
Okay. So, that's a fair commitment, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I like it because with all the heavy traveling that I've done in the past 25 years, it forces me to get into the gym. It forces, circulation, because I see it in planes.
Yes, absolutely.
And it just has this added benefit for health.
Motivates you to keep fit. It's a good motivator. Tell me, is there anything that makes you angry?
I would say dishonesty. If I trust you with something and then you go around and do the opposite, or even worse, kind of undermine what we discussed, that definitely doesn't make me very happy.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I can imagine. Do you have a first memory of your life?
I I do actually. I do very very fond memories in Los Angeles, in the apartment that I grew up.
Uh-huh.
There's two or three pictures, but I remember walking around, walking into my neighbor's house. There was a young girl that
Yeah.
my mom would. She was friends with that neighbor.
Uh,
I made a point twice already in the past 27 years to go back to that street
oh, fantastic.
and walk around that apartment and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still there,
yeah.
you know. But yes,
Wonderful. Good. Great. What are you most excited about these days?
data analytics and I I am obsessed.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm obsessed with my background is manufacturing, then distribution in that
Mm-hmm.
order, right? And by virtue of being trained as a Six Sigma black belt and then master black belt,
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously always looking for the data.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then as things have evolved and then the advent of data science as we know it today,
Yeah. Yeah.
as an engineer, of course, I know programming, but then I just fell in love with Python and
Okay.
and everything that you can do with it, the things that
Yeah.
you can automate. So yeah,
So you get your hands dirty as well. Wow.
I made a point.
Yeah.
I made a point on precisely investing in this schooling, but I fell in love with Python to a point that I know enough or
Yes.
more than enough so
Yes.
that now with the data scientists that I have in my team,
Uh-huh.
I push the guy like, no, try to do this, try to do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And then
Wonderful.
he's like, yeah, I saw that in school, but I'm like, I know you did, you know, I know you did.
I love that. I love
Uh,
that. Well, I tell you, it's always good to keep them on their toes. That's what I say.
yes.
What's the best compliment you've ever received?
When I've influenced somebody's career,
Mm-hmm.
I've been
Mm-hmm.
told throughout my career that thanks to what you did for me,
Yeah.
uh, I was able to obtain this promotion or I was able to move to this other industry, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's actually memorialized in a couple of comments I have out of my LinkedIn of people
Great.
that have typed that. But
Sure.
that's I thrive on that, being able
Mm.
to influence somebody to be better,
Mm.
you know.
Mm. Wonderful. Wonderful. What's a cause that is important to you?
As of late, it's been the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know if it's just because we're so clouded, in particularly here in Texas, right?
Okay.
Um,
Yes.
and then without having that conscious of be aware of plastics, be aware
Yeah.
of detergents, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That as of late, I gave up on plastic bags, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
They're so
Mm-hmm.
detrimental to the environment.
Yeah.
But same with vehicles, being in the automotive industry.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious and passionate about that. That's a cause that I like to further my support and my
Mm-hmm.
involvement. So
Yeah, and I think we need it, don't we?
yes.
What makes you smile the most?
Um Now that I have a couple of daughters, right?
Uh-huh.
Especially the youngest one, and just listening how she develops
Uh-huh.
and how she processes. I'm a big fan of watching news, and
Yes.
I go through the spectrum. I do
Okay.
Fox one day, I do
Mm-hmm.
Fox one day, I do CNN another day, I do
Yep.
MSNBC. As a good data guy, then I take the average, right? It's so extreme, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't
But
say that to many people about averages.
what takes a big smile for me is seeing my 12-year-old process that information and
Ah,
able.
yes.
She's so like she says, why is Fox saying this and CNN says this? It makes no sense to me. I'm like, it's
Okay.
like
Great. Wonderful.
exactly.
And she's 12, right?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Wonderful. Actually, that's such a nice, curious way to form her opinions as well. Tell me, do you have a secret talent?
A secret talent. No,
No?
not that
Okay.
I'm aware of.
All right. If you weren't doing what you are doing now, what would you be doing?
I'll be a rock star, my friend.
Ah!
That's like your comment. I would want to learn the guitar. I know the very basics, but I would love to be a rock
You'd
star.
be so actually talking about what we did at the beginning was interesting for you. Great, great. What are the 3 things that you can't live without?
I would say the love of my family.
Mm-hmm.
I would add to that my extended family, but we can put it on the first
Sure.
one.
On the family one, yeah.
Yeah, on the family altogether. For me, it's there's a lot of value to me on
Yes.
being around them.
Yes.
Second one, it's always self-improvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
That habit of what's new and what can it do for my career, for my
Mm-hmm.
family, the environment,
Mm-hmm.
etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is coffee.
You're like me in the coffee bit. Brilliant, brilliant. If you could be any fictional character, who would you want to be?
That's a very good one. James Bond for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this one. In fact, I used to be or love I'll show it to you. I've had this since '87. This is my Rambo figurine. All
Okay.
right. So I was Rambo forever,
Oh,
right?
Rambo. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
Rambo
I was
forever.
Rambo as a teenager, and I like it a lot. But then in the mid '90s, I figured that James Bond was a better choice. Better hotels, better food, better clothing.
Yeah.
Drinks too. Poor
Okay.
Rambo, he's just
Perfect.
fighting the good fight out there and getting punched. Oh, too
And
much.
he's normally sort of covered in mud and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so I
So
gave
yeah,
up on Rambo.
driving nice cars and yeah, having that lifestyle is much better. Okay. What's the last show that you binge watched?
Phew. Game of Thrones, but Sopranos. The Sopranos have done it. The Sopranos have done at least 5 runs.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So you know it back to back. You can pretty much
because it's beyond just the violence, if you will, or it's just the way that it's written.
Yeah.
And how a lot of the things that he goes through is what I mean, he's in a bad business, right?
Of course he is.
But even in corporate America, in my case, you deal a lot with family issues as well as work issues. Got competition, etc. So philosophically, I think it brings a lot. And then as a form of entertainment, it is brilliantly written. You never get bored watching an episode.
No,
Ever.
not at all. I agree with you with that. Brilliantly acted, written, and just visually, everything is well put together from the photography, the whole thing. So I agree with you as well. What's the most adventurous thing you've done in your life?
That's a good one. There's a number of them, but I want to say I started late in my early 30s to actually start doing triathlons precisely and running. To give you a picture, my first run, I was living in Miami in 2003. I ran 8 minutes and I came back with a what's the name, liver pain.
Oh my goodness.
That was my first start at running, right? and I just challenged it. I'm like, it's not possible that at 32, 33, this is happening to me.
Yes.
I started just training. In my teams, there was a lot of younger guys that did a lot of fitness, so I started getting tips from them what shoes to utilize. So I dared the status quo, at least on myself.
Well, great. I mean,
I have to do it.
No, I agree. I mean, you can't get liver pains like that, and at such a young age. So yes, I think wonderful. How would you define yourself in 3 words?
I think I would say communication, integrity, and I would say generosity.
Yeah, brilliant. Actually, I think that's the first person. You're the first person who said generosity. What's the biggest surprise you've had this year?
This year? That's a good question. To be honest, I think very few things surprised me at this stage. But if I was to do a full year, it was definitely finding out things from my previous employer that affected me in a negative way.
Right. Okay.
That I was rather surprised. I'm like, where is this coming from?
Right. Okay.
But then you come to the realization that is the good old expression is just business.
Yes.
And that's it. But it was a bit of a disappointment, if you will, to be very candid. Yeah.
And an obvious surprise for you as well, naturally.
Correct.
Is there anything that is currently inspiring you in the data world right now, apart from Python? Is there something that is
inspiring? Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
in the data world. Yeah.
So when it comes to companies, I'm a big user of Hilton Hotel. I think a lot of what they've done on their apps and make it easier to book your room, find a spot, prices, etc. For me, it's rather impressive, and same goes with American Airlines.
Okay.
I use Southwest as well and United. I think those two
yeah, customer experience wise and
correct,
and how they use your data to sort of push out to you the best options and so on.
And that in turn, now that I have responsibility for the full operation along with the process improvement and data science team, it's gonna obviously it's a great inspiration to then permeate my organization with more digitalization.
Yes.
Wiser and better ways to utilize data to make us more productive.
Wonderful.
And improve the customer experience.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our seniorship leader team this week. A lot of concerns that we need to improve our customer experience. This industry, it's very old-fashioned. Think about few chaps back in the 70s. I'll bring a container of parts and sell them, right? And they've grown businesses to the tune of billions of dollars. But there's not really that sense of process. It's accepted to have a 20% return rate.
Right. Okay.
There's a lot of things that we've accepted it in this industry as, well, that's the way it is. We make a lot of money. It's okay. It's like,
it's the legacy piece, isn't it? But you could make a little bit more money if it came down to 10%.
Because in my world, I know that complacency is not a good thing. Because I used to work for Nokia.
Right. Oh, there you go.
20 years ago, right here in Dallas, you're number one, undisputable, and then you're not.
Yes. So you've always got to keep up.
A lot of people tend to, in this industry, right, tend to live in that hubris. That we're indestructible. It's like you never know how the company, right, the competitor that will come and disrupt you. You don't know how.
Agreed.
You know how it looks like, but it's gonna come after you and hit you where it hurts, and you're gonna be displaced.
I love that. I really love that. That's I like that you've used the parallel views of what other organizations are doing and trying to build that into where you are now, which is fantastic. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Be comfortable and assertive on what you want to communicate, but also be thoroughly prepared to answer any questions around what you're proposing. So it's not a let's do this because I heard it or it's a good thing. It's because of track, and be able to articulate that swiftly.
Good points. Do you remember the moment that your career completely changed?
Yes, so there's two inflection points. The first one was my transition from Mexico to the US. Although, I'm a US citizen, I finished my engineering degree in Mexico because that's where my parents moved. And then I was deliberately looking for a job with a lot of help of my peers at General Motors. And then I went from making less than about $9,000 a year in 1996 to 42,000.
Okay, that's a massive jump.
And not only that, like even 42 grand in today's money, it was like 70, 80, but it was a complete lifestyle change.
Then
the second inflection point was I was about 29, and precisely because of the influence of both groups, my Indian friends, my West Point friends. It was a catalyst for me that at 29 I became a director on a Fortune 100.
Okay.
And the world just changed. The level of the that you have to make change.
Yeah.
And a world of possibilities, obviously.
Yeah. And that responsibility heightens your accountability for a number of individuals and so on. So it becomes a different level, different playing field, I think. Yep. Correct. What makes you feel the most accomplished?
Change. I'm a big fan, and when I say change, this is what I mean. Right now tasked in my different roles. I'm always tasked with the following. This is where sales are. When do I feel accomplished? When after all the suffering, pain, figuring out root, etc., I get it over here. Right now I'm dealing with defects. Right, they are here. Right. Shipments, damaged shipments, etc. My accomplishment is going to be a few months from now, see that chart going down. That's that kind of change, and
that big step change
that goes around it to bring it down.
Fantastic. What 3 words describe living in? What 3 words would you use to describe living in the US?
So, good one. Opportunity. For sure. Sure, it's not the way that we think about it, like I just show up and things will happen.
The universe will make it happen.
But I know as a fact that statistically, we're talking about data, that if you are well prepared, and then you're out there looking for it, it might not come year 1 or year 2. It's going to happen in the interim. Different things are going to lead to whatever you want. So I would say opportunity is the first one. What I love about the United States, it's also the level of organization, the efficiency that the country. I've done, as I'm sure you have, a lot of international travel. I travel within Mexico. There's still a lot of kinks between flying to one place and then is there a taxi, etc. In the United States, you jump on a plane is very standard. It can be boring, right? To find always Hertz, AVs, etc.
But you know what's going to happen, right? You know exactly how long it's going to take. You know where everything is, and I think that's one thing that I appreciated. Coming from England, when we love to, our favorite pastime here is standing in queues. I don't think you really stand in queues in the States, but
And first one, opportunity. Second, the way the country is organized with the efficiencies. But in the last one would be innovation.
Okay, yeah.
It's a little bit of a different character, just because born here, grew up in Mexico, come back here. But the United States has never ceased to amaze me in the level of innovation. Innovation, the ability to grab the simplest thing and make it really cool. Let me give you a couple of examples. We can talk about Facebook and Amazon all day long. Everybody does that, right? and not many countries are able to produce that kind of caliber of companies. I'll bring it down to something more simple. Starbucks, Starbucks and their coffee. Brazilians produce 40% of the coffee that the world consumes. Yet there's not a branded Brazilian coffee that everybody knows, even though that you're the largest producer.
Sure.
That for me speaks about the how vibrant is the United States on innovating. The second one, very inconspicuous. Have you heard about WeatherTech?
No.
So these are plastic items that you put on your car to protect. They advertise heavily on every airline in the United States. It is something so silly that you put on the car. That well, every car has it, but the quality of this. In fact, the founder of this company, which is probably $1 billion or $2 billion size, he got inspired on his honeymoon going to England. An American guy goes to England on his honeymoon. He noticed that the cabbies had very sturdy floor protection. And maybe this will force you to pay attention next time you jump on one. You'll be looking at it. And he says, how these guys have this sturdiness? It contains all the snow. all the dust, and then just take it out and done. And then he came back to the States, produced it. Innovation.
Wow, great.
In
Yeah, and very simple. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. I think I know this, so I'm not really gonna. Well, I'll ask it anyway. Optimist or pessimist?
You got an optimist.
Absolutely. What's heavily played on your music playlist right now?
It's broken in three big parts. One is rock and roll, from the U2s to the Pearl Jams. I'm a big fan. It will be followed by rock in Spanish, specifically a couple of Mexican bands, Caifanes and Stereo. And then there's a very niche music in northern Mexico. It's not mariachi. I'm not talking about mariachis. I'm talking about norteña.
Wow.
Sounds has more of German influence. With an accordion, etc., etc. So those are the three. That's the beauty of being multicultural. I get to enjoy a lot.
I agree with you. Yep. What three things are at the top of your bucket list?
Win an Ironman. For sure. That's I need that before I go. It'll be a one-time deal. I would love for all of my family to make a big trip into, whether if it's New York or Europe, but a nice 20 people group.
Oh, nice. Group
do that. And that's it, though. I mean, I don't think I have really a third one.
Okay, cool. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
I would say not really, though. I mean, I enjoy a lot my scotch. I enjoy a lot my mezcales. But that's where it ends, though. I mean, I'm not a big fan of excess in anything or anything. But no, I enjoy my.
That's good.
My
good for you. What book did you most recently finish?
I'm actually in the middle of it. It's called the Bridge of St. Louis. It tells the Bridge of San Luis properly. The old book from the 1930s describes 5 different points of view on a bridge that collapsed in a fictional town in, I want to say, Bolivia or Peru. It's a very interesting book that talks about how people look at failure from different angles.
I see.
Affected their life.
Fantastic. Sounds really good. If you could go back in time, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
There's 2 versions of it, right? One of them would be, probably, since I was Rambo inspired, I would tell myself, I wouldn't say enlist, but definitely go to military school. I would have told myself, like, Ivan, you're a U.S. citizen, start applying into West Point or Annapolis, etc. Because I would have loved to have done that if I was back. So that would be route 1. The other route would be no, that's it.
That's it. Okay, cool. If you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
Alive or dead?
Either. No problem. Up to you.
I would love to be Benjamin Franklin.
Wow. Okay. Why is that?
I even have a bust of him right there.
Yeah.
I like to do a lot of things and try to be really good at different things. That Franklin, for me, represents that. This is a guy that was really good at politics, right? At diplomacy. With me trips to Europe to try to get help, to get the British out.
But it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
I get that. But then also on the science piece, he was very curious about phenomena and studying them. So yes, I would have loved to either be him or be around him.
Great. Wonderful. What's one thing you've always wanted to try? Maybe outside of the whole Ironman thing. Is there something else?
You mean try as in career, food?
Something you've always wanted to do, but you just haven't kind of, it could be jumping out of a plane. It could be, riding a motorbike at 333 miles an hour. I don't know.
Well, definitely. So I've had the substitute, right? As I
Okay.
told you, you asked me, and my answer was quick. What do you want to be? A rock star, right?
Yes.
So luckily for me, I've been in enough stages in front of people delivering presentations that
Uh-huh.
I don't have a guitar, I talk, right?
You have your voice.
Yeah, and that has been a nice replacement, if you will, at
Uh-huh.
least on a temporary basis.
Yeah.
Other than that, I actually would really love to be in one of those explorations, like to the moon,
Oh, yeah.
get all the
Yeah.
way up there. That would be nice,
That would be incredible. I'm sure. Yeah. If you had to change something in the world right now, what would it be?
um, address climate change
Yep.
aggressively. And by that, I don't mean just cut on carbon,
Yeah.
but definitely eliminate plastics altogether,
Mm-hmm.
eliminate anything that pollutes the environment, and promote trees and more
Yeah.
greenery
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
warranted.
Absolutely. What's the one thing you wish you knew at the age of 19?
Stock market.
Ah, yes. Very important. Very, very important.
Yeah, understand the guts of it, and be acquainted with it. I know, coming in from blue collar family, they look at the market as, no, that's, first of all, that's for very rich people, and
Yes.
two, there's a lot of fear, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that all of us in this phone call and the medium that we were using to talk to each other is tied to the stock market. Regardless, you are part of it,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. If you weren't living in the US, where would you be living?
It would be Italy, Brazil, or Mexico.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Italy's your first choice, is it? Or
Yes.
yeah? Ah, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
country.
Believe it or not, even though that, through Spanish, we're
Yeah.
more obviously culturally connected with
Yes.
Spain, with a
Yes.
Mexican.
Yes.
But it was in Italy where I used to have a lot of customers that I would visit. I don't know, I just, in those three places, I don't feel I'm away from anything. I feel at home.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. It's a good feeling. If you could offer one piece of advice to up and coming data leaders, what would it be?
Always religiously roll up your sleeves and understand, for whatever company you work for, try to spend, if you can afford it, a day or a week on the different roles of the company. So like in my case in distribution, I ensure that my guys spend the whole week with the drivers to deliver up and observe, make notes. Then I want them a whole week on the warehouse itself. And literally like put product, be next to the guy that is putting the product on the shelf and taking it off the shelf. And for that matter, then on finance, and then supply chain, how do they order product? So that you will be super sensitive to what the company does, how do they do it, and then from there, what my best analogy is, with Jason, one of my data scientists, is, look, everything that you see, whether if it's an invoice, a paper, it's going to end up on a database in the data. You need to understand where is it coming from and how, so that we can first try to digitalize stuff to make it faster instead of paper. Two, with all that data, start understanding the relationships, and how can you help the business to be better with better prediction? Because management, at the end of the day, in the words of Deming, it's prediction.
Yeah. No, agreed. And I think that's very, very sage advice. Most people are ready just to jump on tech, but actually knowing the business through and through, you are going to be a winner for sure. I love that advice. Where was the best vacation you've ever taken?
Italy.
What's one city you've always dreamed of traveling to, but perhaps you haven't?
Actually, luckily for me, it's gonna sound braggadocious, but I've been in 55 countries.
Oh wow.
There's not really a place that I missed. I have not been in Egypt, and I would love to go to the pyramids, but it's not bucket list, it's
Okay.
not,
Okay.
but places that I dreamed to go as a kid
Yeah.
was Brazil.
Yeah.
And not only I went there, I ended up marrying a Brazilian.
Oh, well, there you go. So you keep
Um,
going back.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like rather often, right? My in-laws
Yeah.
come, go over
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. But
And so do you speak Portuguese?
yes,
You do?
very fluently to a point that I did, Six Sigma training and conducted business in Portuguese. For
Great.
me,
Wow.
well,
What's the best lesson your parents ever taught you?
responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that instilled discipline on waking up on time, being there on time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my dad owned a small clutch and brake repair shop.
Mm-hmm.
I was very young at age 8 that I was sweeping those floors
Sure.
and intaking cars on a
Yeah.
Saturday, and ensure that if Samir takes his car and we says that in 3 hours he's ready,
Mm-hmm.
gonna be ready in 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can pick it up and rely on us as a service provider.
Yeah.
That your vehicle is the brakes are gonna be fine. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be in 3 hours as
Mm-hmm.
promised. And you will want to come back to my shop.
Wonderful. Responsibility. Perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect. Do you have a favorite food?
Yes, yes. The top of the list is called tacos de trompo.
Oh,
Actually, interesting enough, think about the both the Turkish as well as the Arab kebab.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
the meat around
Yes,
the.
yes.
Okay. So I know that there was a lot of Lebanese
Uh-huh.
people moved into Mexico in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that instead they grab pork meat
Right.
and they put a lot of seasoning on it.
Mm-hmm.
They cut it, then you put it on the grill for a little bit.
Yep.
And tortillas,
Yep.
hot sauce, crisp.
Perfect. You're making me hungry.
Crisp.
Do you have a favorite podcast or something that you listen to feverishly?
Yes, it's actually a British one. It's the story goes like, I'll tell you the exact name, but it's a one is a historian, and
Uh-huh.
he always guests, and I love how they dissect different stories,
Uh-huh.
including American history.
Okay. Interesting.
I was just been listening to their podcast, like a whole story on Portugal,
Uh-huh.
but they will touch on the Romans, they will touch on anything. So it's history. I could not locate it.
Don't worry.
Yep.
Send it to me. I'd like to know what it is.
Yes.
How do you relax?
That's a tough one for me. To be very candid, I struggle a lot with disconnecting, and
Okay.
I
Okay.
would like to have that ability.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the times that I know that there's nothing out there and that I should just be, I
You
just
can't
can't.
do it. You need to be on the go. No, absolutely. There.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I know lots of people like that. Who would you say is your biggest inspiration?
It has to be both my parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
From very different angles. My father, coming from the background that he passed away a while ago, but
Yeah. Yes.
this my dad is it's a guy that the more I learn and business, even though my dad made it to 5th grade in school,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
but he was able to be an electrician and then founded a shop, clutch and brake repair shop.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that without necessarily knowing everything about it,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
about mechanics or electrician,
Mm-hmm.
he figured that there was opportunity,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. He saw that.
he
Yeah.
would dare he would
Mm-hmm.
dare do it. And
Wonderful.
on my mom's side is definitely that discipline. I have my kid sitting next to me on Saturdays working on Python,
Great.
working on Spanish as well, so
Yep.
that she formal lessons because she picks it up for me. It's as you talk to your kids, right?
Yeah.
But I want to do that, so that has been a lot of drivers for me to, even if she complains like, "Oh, I'm tired," like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. Yep.
Down,
You just do it. Yeah.
yeah. 1 hour, a couple of hours on a weekend never killed nobody, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Tell me, if you have a window in front of you, what can you see from it?
My neighbor. Neighbor's house. Yeah.
Nice.
But actually, well, the very first thing actually is a tree that we planted when we moved here. So it's really nice to see it.
Oh, very and has it grown, blossomed, and
It's getting
yeah,
there.
wonderful,
Yep.
wonderful. Oh, do you still have something, an object or something from your childhood?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I could show it to you. This
Yeah.
I've been carrying this for 30 plus years, and I'll
Wow.
tell. Yeah, this is. I think I built this in '87. It's gonna be 87, 88. You,
Ah,
you see the glass?
yeah. So there's a glasses with what, the
And
yin yang
the
sign,
wood?
and
Yeah. So I was a big fan of karate, right?
ah,
See how they
okay, I
align?
got you. Yes.
Okay.
Which movement did you do?
Kung Fu. When I
Okay,
was
kung fu.
Now let me tell you how I built this. Somebody threw a stone on my dad's shop.
Uh-huh.
They broke a
They
glass.
broke the glass.
So
Mm.
as I took the glass out,
Yeah.
I had been at the local museum and I saw a guy that built a very nice fish, like in big.
Oh, yeah, 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 with glass paint. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Yeah.
I went to it's not a Home Depot, but like a mini
Uh-huh.
version of a Home Depot.
Yep.
I had the guy did the circles for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
The wood that you see there is what we would use when you lift a car
Uh-huh.
to prevent it from rolling. We put
Yes. Like a
blocks of wood.
stopper. Yeah,
Yeah, copper.
yeah.
That's it.
Oh, wonderful. So for those people who will who won't see this, who will listen to it, it is a series of panes of glass cut in circles with patterns and designs on them, and then one has got the yang sign and the other one has got the yin sign. And when you put them together, as you know, as you look through them, you get to see that. So wonderful.
Yep.
What's a data trend that you would like to see disappear?
A data trend that I like to see disappear.
Mm,
I don't know.
no.
No, that's my honest answer. It's like I don't know because I think everything when you look at the whole portfolio of data science, at some point in time, everything might have a use. There's some things that
Mm,
I probably not use like ever. But no, I cannot think of one
okay.
to be.
Okay. We talked about music earlier. Out of all those different styles of music, rock and roll, and then the rock and I think the Spanish, and then the I can't remember the
Yeah,
Norit. It starts with an N. But do you
Norteña.
have a favorite band?
Yes, yes, it has to be the Doors,
Ah,
the band from
okay.
the 60s,
Yeah.
followed by U2 and Pearl Jam. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Top three.
Those are your
And
top three. Perfect. What's a superpower you wish you had?
I like to be invisible.
I won't ask why. What's something you don't want to be doing in 10 years?
Um, Probably still be leading operations, etc. I think I want to take a step back and be more
Hmm.
of a coach and advisor for the young and upcoming folks, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Looking back on your life, is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, other
No?
than that conversation that we spoke,
Yeah.
if I was to go and tell the 16-year-old,
Hmm.
I think that given the conditions that I had, I took advantage of
Yeah.
them as it's
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
um there's not really much that I could have changed
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
um without
Yeah.
somebody coming in and advising me. Something that I got really good at is not that I follow blindly someone, right? But
Yeah.
if I see a person like all my coaches and mentors, right, that I've
Hmm.
had on my career, if I see that 80-90% of what this guy is doing is kosher,
Hmm.
is where I want to be, I've always had that ability to say, yeah, I'm not going to waste time trying to figure it out. I'll
Yeah.
just
Do that.
follow the instructions.
Fair
Boom.
enough. Fair enough. Is there a movie that has really, really, really made you laugh very hard?
Every time I watch it, that's Pulp Fiction, you know?
Okay. All right. If you could teach one subject in school, what would it be?
statistics.
Okay. What's a skill? Yeah.
And history.
And history. Yes, from the podcast. What's a skill? Well, I guess the skill that you're currently working on mastering is Python. It sounds like it.
Yes.
Yeah. What three words best describe your leadership style?
So I'm assertive, right?
Mhm.
I like to be assertive. I like to be also very precise
Right.
on what I want. I don't like to leave
Things hanging.
on the gray.
Mhm.
And on the same note, reward, right?
Mhm.
I like
Mhm.
to reward people for
Yeah.
a good as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What are currently your top 3 data challenges?
I guess everybody else is right. First of all, obtaining it,
Yep.
right? So
Mhm.
there's data all over the place, but it's always a challenge to obtain. I would say merge it as well.
Mhm.
That is, you have an ERP, and
Yeah.
then we have our transportation system that basically it schedules where to go every morning on the
Yep.
200 plus trucks that we have.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of relationships that can be built, and it is very frustrating how it's not so easy to merge them, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that I can obtain more intel. So
Mhm.
obtaining, merging, I'll leave it at those two though. If
Okay.
I was to solve those two, then the rest is
Will be good. Yeah. What's something that recently moved you?
move me.
Something that was very endearing, something that actually really went to your heart and you thought, oh, that really got me.
Yeah. I think right now my CEO, I was celebrating. I have to commute to New York, right, to New
Yeah.
Jersey, and I casually just made him aware that I was gonna stay over there in Jersey to go to New York and celebrate my wedding anniversary. I flew my wife over there. My kid, thankfully, was in Brazil, right? That's why
Okay.
me and my wife could do the single life.
Oh, wonderful.
Man, I'm all happy in a restaurant. I told him that I was gonna go to that restaurant because that's where we went for Christmas as a
Yeah.
team, and I'm like, man, I'm taking my wife to Mastros in New York, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how he figured out what day I was gonna be there.
Oh, yeah.
It was Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, right?
Uh-huh.
But he figured it out.
Uh-huh.
And then a bottle pops up of
Oh,
wine,
wow.
and the lady says, I'm like, whoa, yeah, no, I know
I
how
didn't
much
order
it
this.
costs, and I know I didn't order it. Like, no, this is your friend Chris sent this. I'm like, wow. Well, let's see.
Wow.
He ended up also like when the check came in, it's like, oh, it's all taken care of.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. And then my CFO in turn
Yeah.
also picked up. I went to see Hamilton,
Yes.
and he picked up the tickets, which were not cheap.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, that
Oh,
was
wow. That's wonderful.
very, very unique because I
Yeah.
don't think I've had leadership that goes to that extent.
That length. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. That's amazing. Yeah. That definitely would move anybody, I think.
Yeah.
So what's something you notice about someone when you first meet them?
It depends on the whole context, right? At a professional level, I'm very used to do classes, right? To do trainings, right? So what I noticed quickly, and I like people now in this world of cameras, I want them on camera, and if face to face, um, I'm very quick at figuring out who's paying attention and who's not.
Okay.
And I've done, look, I've trained people in Singapore, Hong Kong,
Yeah.
all over Europe, all over Latin America. So I've been in front of thousands of people, whether if it's 5 or 700, anything in between. So I will immediately pick on or the level of engagement and attention to whatever we're talking about.
Ivan, my last question to you.
Yes, sir.
What would you like to be remembered for?
I think that I was good for whomever, right? That Ivan was always good to me. Whether I help them with their career, or at the family level, they were in trouble and I help them out, or even if they were not in trouble, that through whatever I did or say, they could improve their lives. That's what.
Wonderful. Well, Ivan Martinez, it's been wonderful speaking to you. Really has been. I loved your answers, and I look forward to actually getting to know you a bit more, hopefully.
Thank you.
So,
Likewise,
Ivan, thank you so much. Have a wonderful
sir.
day and rest of the weekend, and I'll see you soon.
Till next time.
Till
Thank you.
next time. Thank you.